We're making a ladder. Luke here got this nifty Mastercraft flux core welder, and we wanted to test it. So I need a ladder because I can't reach my Thule without stepping on my tires. So we're gonna do a side mount ladder because ladders for this thing are like $900, and we just purchased $50 worth of metal.
Now these vans normally come with rear mount ladders. They're really expensive to get used. So instead, we will build a side mount. You could make a back mount, but I just find the side mounts are way more useful for my Thule anyways.
Anything to add, Luke?
No.
We've never really done anything like this before, so this is a good intro for most people. We just picked up the welder. I've never welded. Luke has kind of welded before. We don't really have any plans. You can see from the screen here, from this really rough sketch here of what this ladder might look like. The side rails will be 10 inches apart with 5 steps, and we went with that because it'd be most usable, it would look the best. The ladder will mount to the bottom pinch welds and then the top rain gutter.
What did I say? Measure once, re-weld it 4 times.
At least.
I will reiterate, we have never done this before, so we are making it up as we go. Step 1 will be cutting the steel bar to length and creating a shell of a ladder. And then decide how far away we want it from the van, where we want the bend in the ladder, and how it'll mount to the top. A good distance away from the pinch welds is about 8 inches, so that's what we're gonna do. So we'll tack on 90 degrees from the ladder itself and start doing the bottom mount. We'll also be welding the flat bar that will be resting against the pinch welds. These are pretty important because it will be taking the load of the ladder when you're climbing it.
Tack them on!
Gotta tack them on. Look at that.
This is a ladder.
One of the big hurdles that we have here is trying to align the ladder with the contour of the van. I've decided that I want it straight up from the bottom and then right around the windowsill, have it angled towards the top of the van. So unfortunately, I didn't actually film any of the angle being put into the ladder because instead I filmed Luke going snowboarding. But to explain, we cut a V-notch out of the square tubing allowing for the bend in the ladder. We ended up cutting the V-notch a little too big, so we had to fill that gap. We just ended up using some scrap metal to fill that little piece and welded it all together afterwards. Don't have an exact angle of the bend in the ladder, but we just put it next to the van and tried to contour it as much as possible. The ladder all tacked up, it was actually strong enough to climb. The next step is to grind down all your welds, and this really cleans it up, and if you see any welds that aren't really good, you can go ahead and re-weld them and then re-grind them. The part I have the most reservations about is the top gutter mount, and I don't really understand how it's going to mount, so I'll just let Luke explain.
One more time. Explain how this is gonna work.
So it's upside down. This is the gutter. This piece goes under the gutter. This nut is welded. This is a pipe on the bracket attached to the ladder. Threads through into that nut, and then it'll pull that piece tight.
Got it?
That's how it does.
Good.
So what I gather from Luke's explanation is that it's key to pinch the gutter rails into the mount using 2 different flat bars.
What are you doing, Luke?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out.
Somehow gonna connect the top to this thing.
We started using a 2x2 angle iron. One of the sides of the angle iron is trimmed down. This trimmed down part is what goes under the gutter. The nut welded onto the angle iron is used to tighten and pinch the gutter.
Go, let's go. No.
Here's a better look at how it all pieces together. The bolt will be pulling the nut that's on the bottom base, pinching the rain gutter, and securely mounting it to the van. Okay, to recap, the flat part that the ladder is welded to has 2 couplers that the bolt fits through. It's important to note that the bolt isn't threaded into the coupler. The coupler is oversized and the bolt just passes through it. We used 1/2-inch couplers and 3/8 bolts and nuts. With the top gutter mount mostly complete, we decided to reconnect the ladder back to the top gutter mount. And we're gonna do this with the same sort of bend that we didn't film last time, which I obviously didn't film this time either, so bear with me here. Same procedure as last time though, taking a little bit out of the inside of the ladder, and that allows you to bend. And we just this time bent it all the way back to the gutter mount. Best way to do this is line everything back up in the van and see how far you have to go. And we literally just bent the top back until it was touching the top gutter mount and tacked it into place. We added a little metal plate right in between the couplers so that the angle iron could rest right on it, which allowed for a lot more snug of a fit. And that's it. You have a gutter and pinch weld mounted side ladder. Woo. For paint, we decided to go with black enamel paint, which is used for the inside of your engine bay. So it can take heat, it can take cold, it can take a bunch of grease and spills, because this ladder is going to be mounted to the bottom side of the van. And surely we'll get hit with lots of mud and rocks and salts and everything. So I want to make sure it doesn't rust away really fast. So my recommendation here is to make sure you prep this really good and just take your time with paint. Once the ladder finally dried, we could mount it to the van for the last time. Last thing we had to do was drill through the bottom base plate and then into the pinch welds. There's not a lot of room to drill into the pinch welds, so you just have to be careful. And then just make sure you hit it with a coat of paint, just so it doesn't rust from the inside. Add your nuts and bolts and you are done.
All done here. I've had it for a couple weeks now and it works really well. And then going up to the top, pinching. Allows for easy climbing. Project done. I think we're gonna do more of these. Stay tuned.